Welcome to the Practical Prepper Network. Today we're discussing bugging in and bugging out. What makes sense and when to do it. Most people can't seem to agree on this subject, and the others don't know what the terms even mean. It's a potential life or death decision you make in minutes or even seconds that can be extremely easy to make using a simple checklist. We bug in when home keeps you safer. We bug out when staying puts you in the path of a bigger problem, a threat which cannot be overcome. Here's a plan you can run no matter your living situation. Start with the mindset. You don't look brave for toughing it out, and you don't look cowardly for leaving early. The right call is the one that keeps your family still breathing. We're going to run 5 checks in order. If any check trips a red line for you, you leave. If you clear all 5 and your home can support you, you stay. Check 1. Immediate danger. Ask one question. Is there a present or approaching threat that can make this structure unlivable in the next minutes to hours? House fire, structural damage after a quake or tornado, rising water that could trap you, gas or chemical release, active violence moving your direction? If yes, you bug out now. No debate, no packing for perfection. Shoes on, keys, grab-and-go bag, kids out the door. You can't manage a raging wildfire or nuclear fallout. If you clear check 1, move to check 2. Time window. How long until conditions clearly get worse? Do you have 30 to 60 minutes to leave ahead of a closure, a fire front, a storm surge, or a police perimeter? If you can leave early and arrive safe, go. If the route is already gridlocked, unsafe, or likely to close before you can reach safety, shelter, and prepare to stay until it is safer to move. Leaving too late is often more dangerous than staying put and hardening your position. If you clear time window, go to check 3, home support status. You need 4 basics to bug in without creating a secondary emergency. Safe water, an adequate amount for all present. Heat or cooling appropriate for the season. Sanitation that won't contaminate living spaces. Basic security that keeps the danger out. If you're about to lose 2 or more of those for more than 24 to 72 hours with no workaround, lean toward bug out while routes are open. If you have them under control, staying becomes more attractive. Now check 4, dependence and medical. Anyone in your care who can't tolerate power loss, temperature swings, or water restrictions changes the mission. Infants, elderly parents, mobility issues, power-dependent devices like oxygen concentrators or refrigerated medications. If their needs exceed what your home can reliably supply for the next day or 2, you leave early to the place that can supply those needs. A quiet, inconvenient hotel 2 hours away is safer than an emergency room in a full-blown disaster zone. Finally, check 5, route and destination. Do you have a confirmed place to land, a viable route there, and enough fuel or margin to actually arrive? No destination means no bug out. You bug in until you have a place to go and a way to get there. A friend's house, a relative in another town, a reservation in a hotel, or an identified public shelter you've confirmed is open. If you have a destination and the route is open, and any of the previous checks pushed you red, you go now before the window closes. That's the framework. Now let's make it real with simple triggers. Here are a few bug-out triggers. Any life safety hazard on a short clock. Fire, rising water, gas leak, chemical plume, unstable structure, or violence moving toward your block. Mandatory evacuation order for your specific area. Power down plus temperatures you cannot control safely indoors. Loss of water plus no stored water plus no way to treat or carry it. Critical medical or mobility needs that require stable power or refrigeration. Open route to a confirmed destination. And now for our bug-in triggers. Structure intact and safe. Utilities stable or you have a workable workaround for water, sanitation, and temperature. Law and order stable enough that locking doors and lights and a basic security posture keep randoms at bay. You have a communication plan and the ability to receive alerts. The route out is unknown, closed, or more dangerous than staying put for the next cycle. Destination unconfirmed. The common mistake is letting your ego or normalcy bias win instead of reading your situation objectively. You're choosing what keeps you alive for the next 72 hours. Let's talk about how the same plan looks in 3 living situations. Apartment. Your strengths are speed and simplicity. Your weaknesses are limited storage, shared walls, and elevators or stairwells. If smoke fills hallways or alarms trip and don't reset, that's a near immediate bug out. If utilities are down, but the structure is fine and the stairwell is safe, bug in, seal a one-room heat or cool zone, ration lights, and use stored water. If your building sits in a flood-prone hollow or near a chemical rail line, your time window check is more sensitive. Leave early before the stairwells become a choke point. Suburban home. Your strengths are space for water and supplies, multiple exits, and vehicles. Weaknesses are complacency and roads that clog. If a wildfire is within a known trigger distance or a hurricane track gives you a clear departure window, you bug out early. If a short-term blackout rolls through, you bug in, protect cold chain, store water fast, set generator rules, and check neighbors. Your time window check is about watching road status and leaving before everyone else decides to leave at once. Homestead. Your strengths are distance, water options, and tools. Your weaknesses are long routes, livestock you feel obligated to save, and the temptation to overstay. Fire and flood are the big red lines. If you need to move animals, you leave earlier than city neighbors because loading takes time and roads are long. If the hazard is civil unrest in a distant town and your home systems are stable, you bug in and lock down. But if power for a well pump is gone with no safe way to run it for days, and heat or cold is severe, you bug out before fuel runs low and temperatures force you into hurried decisions. Now a minimal kit for either decision. Minimal kit for bugging in. Headlamps for every adult. Battery lanterns. A week of water at 2 to 3 gallons per person per day, or the means to collect, filter, and disinfect it. Ready-to-eat food that doesn't need cooking. A way to keep human waste contained if water stops. Heavy contractor bags, a bucket and a lid, or a toilet adapter. Basic first aid and personal meds. A radio or phone alerts. A way to charge phones safely that doesn't involve running a car in a garage. Locks that work and the habit of using them. Minimal kit for your bug out. Backpack you can carry for a mile. 2 1-liter bottles, plus a squeeze filter and labeled bleach dropper. Headlamp and spare batteries. 2 lighters and 3 contractor bags with 50 feet of cord for fast shelter. First aid basics and personal meds for 72 hours. Copy of IDs and insurance info, warm layer, hat, dry socks, and a simple rain shell. Power bank and cable. If you have kids, add snacks they actually eat. If you're leaving by vehicle, the pack still matters in case the vehicle fails, or you must walk a short distance to reach safety. 2 micro drills you can run this week to make the decision easier. Drill 1, the 10-minute decision. Pick a realistic scenario for your area. Wildfire, chemical spill, flash flood, winter ice, or civil unrest. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Run the 5 checks out loud. Is there immediate danger? What's my time window? Can my home support me for the next day or 2? Do dependents change the math? Do I have a route and a destination? Make the call and then act on it for 5 minutes. Pack the car or fill water or lock doors and set up a 1-room heat zone. The point is to turn theory into motion. Drill 2, the 30-minute leave. Start with what you actually have at home. Put your bug-out kit by the door. Make a quick load plan for the vehicle on a note card. Bags first, water, food, meds, pets, documents. Set a 30-minute timer. Load it as if you were leaving. If you can't do it calmly in half an hour, trim the list or stage items closer to the exit. A word on routes. Always have 3. primary, secondary, and tertiary. The tertiary is the slow, quiet way on back streets that other people won't think about. Keep a paper map even if your phone normally runs GPS. In a real event, you check one thing once, then you stop doom refreshing. Save battery and attention for driving and family. If you're leaving town, refuel before everyone else. If you are staying, park a vehicle facing out with keys where you can reach them if conditions change. A word on neighbors. Listen, you can't save the entire block. You can check on the elderly couple across the street if it's safe. If you are evacuating and you have room, you can offer one seat. If you are bugging in and there is time, you can share the checklists by text. But your first job is your own family's safety and stability. Put your oxygen mask on first. A word on law and order. In most emergencies, stress brings out opportunists. At home, lights, locks, and visible activity in the house tell casual trouble to move on. On the road, travel in daylight if possible, avoid obvious choke points, and keep fueling stops short and purposeful. You aren't trying to be a hero. You're trying to arrive with everyone intact. When in doubt, here is the simplest way to remember the plan. Stay when home is safe, supplies are adequate, and leaving is riskier than waiting. Go when life safety is threatened, when utilities you can't replace will fail long enough to harm someone in your care, or when you have a confirmed place to land and a clear route, but the window is closing. Leaving early and arriving safe beats waiting and potentially being too late. Share your top local hazard in the comments and I'll reply with my commentary and best advice. Subscribe and share with someone you love. Stay prepared, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.